What is the secret of Smash Bros.' success? Yeah, Pikachu is adorable, but I think it's probably more than that. After 15 years of whacking Luigi into the ozone with a baseball bat, the release of Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS and Wii U was yet again one of the biggest events in games. The Madcap fighting game has become a blockbuster event, which is understandable to a certain extent.
Something's gone wrong in the happy-go-lucky world of Nintendo.
The roster is stacked with characters from Nintendo's stable of A-list properties. You have Princess Peach, Kirby, Pikachu, Link, Samus, and Fox McCloud all rolling up their sleeves in a no-holds-barred Donnybrook. Looking back, it seems like a no-brainer, but the success of Smash Bros. Came as a surprise to everyone, including Nintendo. You've got to remember that Nintendo, unlike say Capcom, had very little experience making fighting games. The first game was sort of a Hail Mary. It had a meager budget, and its creator, Masahiro Sakurai, used Nintendo's iconic characters without permission in the original prototype. And yet, Smash went on to become a huge hit, selling in the neighborhood of 20 million copies over the franchise's life so far. So what's the secret to Smash's smashing success? Well, part of it is that Smash Bros. Anticipated and continues to reflect a larger trend in crossover culture. Before Smash Bros., game characters were generally relegated to their own respective universes. Mario lived in Mushroom Kingdom, Kirby lived in Dreamland, and Sonic lived wherever Sonic lives. Regardless, there was no crossover. But Smash let us answer the all-important philosophical question, who would win in a fight between Mario and Sonic? Or Wii Fit Trainer and Pac-Man, if you're weird. This is more than simply heated discourse on the playground. The act of asking the question is a postmodern technique called bricolage, or remix culture if you don't want to be fancy about it. It's the fabrication of a creative work from a variety of loosely related things. We see bricolage in big, important novels like Ulysses with copious allusions to other books, and TV shows like Family Guy which have a field day mashing up references to TV and film. And then there are games like Theatrhythm Final Fantasy which join the fray by combining characters from all of the other Final Fantasy games. I've also referred to bricolage as intertextuality, and as you know, it's something I love when games do well. But when Smash was released in 1999, bricolage was generally new territory in video games, with the exception of games like Marvel vs. Capcom. Its creators had to take into consideration the illustriously named idea of transcendent priority, that is, which character's attacks beat other characters' attacks. Before that, there was no corollary between a sword slash from Marth and Jigglypuff's ability to hit a high note. And these decontextualized decisions make for some very interesting game design. Think about the variety you get simply from the fact that the characters are different sizes. King Dedede's hammer is larger than Diddy Kong's entire body, Pichu is about the size of a feral cat, and the Pikmin are literally uprooted flowers. But that was a long time ago, and PlayStation All-Stars tried to do the same thing, but with much less success. So why does Smash Bros. Continue to get us excited?
Oh yes. Super Smash Bros. This is basically what I'm going to be doing all afternoon and all night.
I think it's because Smash Bros. Toes the line between bringing us closer to our friends and destroying friendships forever.
In Smash!
This is not a gentleman's game where people shake hands afterwards. This is a game where embarrassing people trumps even victory, which is probably why it straddles the line between a fighting game and a party game. Smash Bros. Is a game about humiliating your opponent, about screwing over your friends again and again and again. Like how I would play as Yoshi just to swallow someone and poop them off the edge, or use Donkey Kong just to throw someone on my back and kamikaze, or self-destruct a bomb in the middle of the fray just to get the kills. I'm kind of an erratic player. And many characters like Palutena and Ness have a reflection move which allows you to reverse a projectile flying at you and nail your assailant in the face. It's a very particular type of comedic irony. And let's not forget about edge guarding. That's when your pal is reaching out for the ledge to save themselves from falling into the abyss, and you drop down to occupy the space so that they can't. The game encourages players to toe that healthy line of healthy competition and being a terrible person.
There you go! No!
And in the new multiplayer, you can alienate up to 7 friends at once without really knowing who the best player is. Hope it was worth it. Okay, so we've got legendary characters battling it out, evil genius game design that tears you apart from your friends, but there's something else. unbalanced gameplay. But in this case, it's actually a good thing. Unlike League of Legends, where Riot Games is constantly tweaking the character's strengths and weaknesses to maintain fairness, Smash hasn't been patched except for minor bug fixes, and it's notorious for accidentally hiding diamonds in the rough. When software engineer Forrest attempted to chart the popularity of melee characters over a decade-plus period, he found that some characters, like Jigglypuff, took years to emerge as secret weapons. And other characters who you thought were really strong have found massive fallout waiting for them over time. And frankly, that's what keeps people coming back. Smash Brothers is this huge world of unique and unbalanced characters that have pros and cons waiting to be discovered by the players. According to Smith, in 2003, no one thought that the Ice Climbers were any good at all, including myself. 10 years later, they're one of the game's most popular characters. But part of me wonders if Smash Brothers can keep adding characters at this pace. There's already 50 between the 3DS and Wii U versions, and I can easily imagine a future where you play as hundreds, maybe thousands of obscure Nintendo characters. Personally, I'm still holding my breath for the pickle from Burger Time. But my guess is that as long as Nintendo keeps blending characters, sabotaging friendships, and leaving the door open for the unknown, we'll be playing Smash for a very long time. So what do you think? What's the reason for Smash Brothers' enduring success? Hash it out in the comments, and if you like what you saw, please subscribe. I'll see you next week. Last week we talked about 23 different ways that games make you a better person. Let's see what you had to say. So first and foremost, a big thank you to the folks in Portland and San Francisco who came to the first ever game show meetups. I wasn't really sure who was going to show up, and you all did. It was great to meet you all, so thank you so much for coming. Keep an eye out for future ones. We'll try to do them more. Johnathan McNutt points us to an excellent book called Changing the Game by David Edery. Edery used to be Microsoft's worldwide portfolio planner. He was responsible for bringing games like Braid to the Xbox, and now he's part of an amazing game company called Spry Fox. Anyway, David's book is all about how the skills that we learn from playing in video games are very applicable to a business setting. According to IBM research, people who served as guild leaders in World of Warcraft actually make better managers because you demonstrate all the skills that you need to lead a team. JGronli mentions the research of Jane Gackenbach, who's done a lot of really amazing research on dreams. I believe she was a consultant for the movie Inception, but she studies how people dream, why we dream, and whatnot. And it turns out playing a lot of video games makes you more likely to be what's called a lucid dreamer, which just means that you can control things in the dream state as opposed to having dreams kind of control you. And so it's really interesting. So her research actually looks at nightmares and PTSD as well. And she thinks that allowing people or giving people the ability to play a lot of video games may help them have better control over nightmarish dreams. So it's really cool. I'll link to a piece that I did on her a couple of years ago in the description. Alex Song and a bunch of others argued that if games are so good for you, then you should just do them all the time and like leave your kids to starve and just sort of live your life inside of a game world. I wasn't quite saying that. I know you weren't quite saying that either, but you know, we both agree. All good things in moderation. I'm not saying that you should play games at the expense of human relationships or anything like that, only that games do have some amazing, wonderful effects on us. RiverwolfGamer leaves an amazing comment. It's so amazing, I'm gonna read the whole thing here. RiverwolfGamer writes, my parents struggled for over 26 years trying to understand how I, as a person with Asperger's syndrome, view the world. 2 Minutes with Autism, which is a game that came out last year, made them finally understand far more intimately than virtually any other method would have allowed. Yeah, I mean, that's an incredibly powerful comment, and games can be an incredible lens into other people's experiences and build empathy. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Iacob Goldstein said that he unliked the video so he could then like it again. Well, I hope it stays that way, Jacob. I'm just kidding. I do really appreciate that, and tell your friends. Theat-rhythm. 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 The-at-rhythm.